One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, I wanted to play this, but we decided we shouldn't play it. We don't want anybody to have any sort of a way to get it down. The episode of you when you're on The View, when you were running for president.
Right.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to.
You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
In today's video, Joe Rogan takes a closer look at the changing political views of The View and its well-known hosts, including Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar. He highlights what he considers clear hypocrisy in their shifting stance on Donald Trump over the years.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
We love it.
They were talking about you in such a favorable light. The audience was cheering, and then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you.
Joe Biden knows how to do this. Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
Joe Rogan isn't holding back as he highlights the stark contrast in how The View's hosts once embraced Donald Trump and how they now fiercely oppose him. Rogan questions whether this shift is rooted in principle or simply a response to changing media and political landscapes. He starts by recalling a time in the early 2000s when The View took a much friendlier stance toward Trump. The hosts introduced him as a friend, praised his accomplishments, and even entertained his presidential ambitions, asking him about his future plans with apparent admiration. Fast forward to today, and Trump is now a deeply polarizing figure. Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar have become vocal critics, describing him as a divisive force and a threat to the foundations of American democracy. This dramatic flip-flop has captured Rogan's attention, sparking a deeper conversation about the motivations behind such a drastic change.
You know who made a campaign stop on the Joe Rogan podcast Friday night? And with all the issues Americans are going to be voting on, you know where they started the interview? Take a look.
It was the episode of you when you were on The View, and I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
Right.
Okay, let's stop there. There's a lot of fake news coming up, so we're going to clear some of it up as it happens. He was actually, in that clip, is 2011, 4 years before he announced he was running, okay? That's the first thing they got wrong.
Rogan isn't buying the idea that this shift stems from any dramatic change in Trump's values or behavior. Instead, he argues that it reflects the political and cultural pressures of the moment. He questions whether the host's sudden, intense opposition is driven by genuine conviction or simply a reaction to prevailing media trends. In Rogan's perspective, The View's current stance seems more aligned with what's popular now than with any steadfast ideological principles. He calls out the hosts for their selective outrage, emphasizing that Trump's core beliefs haven't significantly changed over the years. What has shifted, he suggests, is the media narrative surrounding him, and that alone appears to have prompted a complete reversal in how The View portrays him.
You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
So, here's the actual appearance.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
We love it.
But did I look?
Rogan's critique goes even deeper as he examines the language the hosts use, particularly in their discussions on social justice and woke culture. Whoopi Goldberg has often claimed that The View has always been attuned to the struggles of marginalized communities, stressing that these groups don't want to be patronized. However, Rogan challenges this rhetoric, calling it performative and hypocritical, especially in light of how enthusiastically The View once celebrated Trump before his political career took off. In Rogan's view, this shift isn't rooted in a genuine commitment to progressive values. Instead, he argues, it's about adapting to the current political climate and aligning with what's popular rather than standing by consistent principles.
If you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth.
I don't think Sonny's dumb. but Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it, and it's nothing.
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there.
Rogan's critique becomes even more pointed when he addresses the accusations about Trump's behavior, particularly claims that he's spoken dismissively about marginalized communities. He challenges Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar to provide concrete examples of Trump directly demeaning groups such as African Americans or LGBTQ+ individuals. Rogan argues that, if anything, Trump has shown a greater willingness to embrace inclusivity in recent years compared to many career politicians. He contrasts Trump with figures like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, suggesting that these mainstream politicians are more prone to talking down to the public, whereas Trump, despite his flaws, tends to steer clear of that condescending approach.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
yeah.
it is a rabies-infested hen.
This perspective highlights Rogan's belief that much of the criticism aimed at Trump stems from assumptions or selectively highlighted incidents rather than a fair assessment of his actual behavior. Rogan takes this argument a step further, suggesting that The View should invite Trump back on the show for an unfiltered, face-to-face debate. If the hosts truly oppose Trump's views, Rogan argues, they should be willing to confront him directly. He believes such a debate would give Trump a chance to defend himself on a high-profile platform, potentially shifting public opinion in his favor. However, Rogan doubts the hosts would take this risk. A public showdown with Trump, he contends, might bolster his image instead of tarnishing it. By avoiding such a confrontation, Rogan suggests that The View may be more interested in controlling the narrative than engaging in a genuine dialogue. A direct debate would not only let Trump challenge their portrayal of him but also force the hosts to back up their claims with facts in real time.
Like Barbara, she said be polite to guests no matter what. Yes. And for the most part, I got through. I did it like I do now. But here's where they really messed up. Watch.
They're talking about you as such a favorable light.
Honey, Joe, I think you missed this part. Take a look.
I want him to show his birth certificate. There's something on that birth certificate that he doesn't like.
Oh my God!
That's a terrible
that
thing
is
to
just
say.
Whoopi, I'm telling you.
He was 3 pounds.
Whoopi, I love you. I'm telling
I love
you.
you too. I think that's the biggest pile of dog mess I've heard in ages.
Rogan uses this moment to critique the state of cancel culture, which he finds increasingly ironic and hypocritical. He points out how figures like Trump, once widely celebrated, are now swiftly discarded and cancelled simply for deviating from progressive or mainstream narratives. Rogan argues that the backlash against Trump isn't driven by genuine ideological differences but rather by a desire to align with whatever is currently popular. This, he believes, highlights the superficiality of cancel culture. Public figures who challenge the dominant narrative are quickly condemned, while those who conform are praised, even when their views may be less aligned with what Rogan perceives as the truth.
Show has allowed all kinds of people to come on, people we agree with, people we don't agree with. I've not been a fan of this man's. I don't like how he talks to us. I don't like how he talks to the nation. So I have not really had much to say until he started running for president. Then I could say everything I needed to say. My face said everything else.
Rogan's critique zeroes in on the commercialization of politics and media, suggesting that The View and similar outlets have shifted from fostering honest discourse to becoming platforms for virtue signaling. He contends that hosts like Whoopi Goldberg criticize Trump not out of genuine disagreement but because it boosts ratings, generates publicity, and helps them stay relevant in an ever-evolving media landscape. To Rogan, this trend underscores how the media has become more focused on preserving a narrative than fostering meaningful, thoughtful debate. He argues that this shift prioritizes performance over substance, reducing political discourse to little more than a strategy for capturing attention and reinforcing existing biases.
You can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean...
He rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
But can I mention one thing?
The most striking part of Rogan's argument is his call for accountability among public figures, including the hosts of The View, for their role in shaping public opinion. He argues that media outlets have a responsibility beyond entertainment, not to spread misinformation or make sweeping generalizations about public figures without solid evidence. Rogan pushes back against the notion that public figures are fair game for attacks or sensationalism, questioning whether the hosts of The View truly stand by the causes they claim to champion or if they are merely playing a role to maintain public favor. He emphasizes that if you genuinely uphold your values, you should be willing to confront your opponents directly. That's why Rogan is challenging The View to invite Trump back for an open conversation. However, he doubts they'll take this step, as he believes it would expose the superficiality of their criticisms and undermine their narrative. So, what's your take on Rogan's analysis? Is The View guilty of hypocrisy and pandering to progressive trends, or are they responding to the genuine consequences of Trump's actions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth discussions on the latest cultural and political issues.